Welcome! In this episode we're going to be discussing the septic system, including the leach field and the septic tank. Let's get into it.
Before getting started, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the septic system design and the plan for this particular video. You can see the outline of the driveway. You can also see the outline of the foundation. The initial important requirements will be the setback. So for example, there needs to be a 20-foot minimum setback between the leach field and the foundation of the house. There also needs to be a setback between the street and the leach field. And that is about 20 to 25 feet. In the video you will note that we ended up adding a piece of plastic here at the edge facing the closest to the street, and that allows us to be a minimum of 10 foot. And we kind of did that for safety because in the mountain sometimes it's kind of difficult to gauge distance. Sometimes things seem long or short based on the fact that we have an 18% slope on the mountain. We will be adding the observation pipes and flushing valves here. We will be filling up the leach field with sand, and most of the system will be a 4-inch diameter dosing system. Initially we intended to have the septic system be gravity based, but based on the constraints and tightness of the site, we ended up needing a pump system. The tanks will end up being about 1,250 gallon tanks, and you will get to see this in a few moments. And with that out of the way, let's jump on it. Our excavator got the leach field taken care of. It's about 4 to 6 feet deep. At this point we're waiting for the inspection of the leach field. One thing I really like about our excavator is that he's so efficient. I have never actually seen him work. So hopefully I can catch him and I can show you some footage. As you can tell, they are now filling up the septic. So one interesting thing that you should note is that they are bringing trucks of sand because maybe like 2 to 5 years ago they changed the ruling. Before you had to fill the leach field with crushed rock, but obviously sand has better percolative properties. So here they are working on our leach field. The subcontractors finished the leach field. They placed the infiltrators. Their purpose is to protect the tubing running underneath them. These 2-inch PVC pipes have holes every 3 feet or so, and their purpose is to spread the liquid coming from the septic tank throughout the entire leach field. One important thing that they did is they actually leveled it with a laser to guarantee that there's a slope of about some 5 degrees or so. And the slope is very important because if the slope is too high, the liquids will run too quickly and it might leave solids behind, and that may clog the pipes. If the slope is too shallow, it may not make it to the end, so we would potentially only be using a part of the leach field. The green tubes that you see back there, they're for testing and for clean out. They will be exposed outside of the ground. Once they backfill this, it's going to be backfilled at least 4 feet, and that is due to the frost line. We can cut them down to maybe about a foot above ground, so that we can actually they're not non-intrusive. The next step is we're going to be waiting for the county to come and inspect the leach field, but we did run into a hiccup with finding tanks, just like running into problems finding insulation and other materials. They did run into trouble finding a tank, so they're looking for a tank. As soon as they're able to get a tank, they'll come, install it, and move on with the inspection. On camera it's probably going to be very difficult to tell, but we are actually very tight in space with the leach field and the tank. So that means that the drainage from the house is going to be coming in at about barely at level with the leach field. What that means is we will need probably to change our leach field design from a drip gravity-based system to a pump system. The pump will be on the tank, in the tank, and from the tank we will be pumping the liquids onto the leach field. Hey, so it's about a week later and the excavator was able to get the tanks. We were originally planning to get some plastic tanks, but due to the shortage, he got these concrete tanks. They are a little bit more old school, but they work just as well.
So here are our septic tanks already installed. So just to give you an overview of what is going on here. The house is going to be on that side and all the drain is going to come through this pipe right here. It's going to get into this tank. It's actually two tanks together. It's going to get into the first one, and what is going on here, we have, well, we don't, but there are bacteria in here, and what they do is they are going to help separate the solids from the liquids. What happens is all the solids go to the bottom of the tank, that is called the sludge, and the oil, the grease, and anything that floats is coming to the top, and that is called the scum. And then the liquids in the middle, they are going to move to the second tank, that is right there. And from there is, there is a pipe in the back, and everything will go into this other tank. Now this one has a dosing station, and what it's going to do is going to send all the liquids down through that pipe, and you have 4 pipes in the drain field, and that's where everything is going to go and then go down to the drain. I don't believe that the 4 pipes are operating at the same time all the time. It's more like if one of them ever gets clogged or crushed or anything, you have other lines to take care of all the waste that you are getting there. And that's how the septic system works. The inspectors came and they gave us the thumbs up, and our septic system is done. So let's go over the final components. What we have here are 4 caps, these green components here. They are just covering the testing lanes. So the way the testing works is that the lines get filled with water from the other end of the septic, and when they get to this end, you see a squirt of water. So that indicates that nothing is clogged. The other thing we have here is the clean out. We have 2 on this end and 2 on the other. The way this one works is that if anything ever gets clogged, you just lift this cap and you can use a snake to unclog the system. And now let's walk to the other end. You will notice that the drain field has been filled. It was filled with about 4 feet of soil. This is going to be the final grade because there is a weight limitation on the drain field. The only pending thing we have here is to add some plants. And the plants, the requirement is to have shallow roots. And what they do is, for one thing, they keep all the soil in place. And the other thing they do is, if there's ever more water than there should be, they help to absorb it and process it. So that's the only pending thing on the drain field. And here we have the other two cleanouts that I mentioned. And the final component, it's right there on the on that tank. You'll see the black component with a label. That is the sump pump. It was required because we didn't have enough grade from the house to get to the tank just by gravity. So it was a requirement to have it. There is one more component for the sump pump. It's a control, a remote control, and if there's any issue with it, it's going to trigger an alarm. That one goes in one of the walls of the house, so we won't be showing it to you, but just know that it's there. And that's it. We're done with our septic system.